My name is Dorothy Leblanc. I'm from Baton Rouge, and I'm honored to be part of Sugarfest again this year. I'm doing a different kind of guitar playing for you today. I'm going to demonstrate something called jazz chord melody that's been around since, well, 100 years. A gentleman named Charlie Christian decided that he could play the chords and intersect the chords with melody notes. So hopefully you'll recognize this first song that was written and published in 1923. That song was called It Had to Be You. And around the same time that that was published, there were these two brothers who were phenomenal lyricists and composers. And I'm talking about George and Ira Gershwin. So I'm going to give you a couple of theirs. It's wonderful, it's marvelous that you should care for me. It's awful nice paradise, what I long to see. You make my life so glamorous, you cannot blame me for feeling so amorous, so wonderful. Marvelous that you should care for, that you should care for, that you should care for me. Anyone who was a child of the 60s is going to remember Janis Joplin, and you have probably heard her version of this next one called Summertime. So these chords that I'm using are jazz voicings, and there are a lot of different ways and a lot of different places on this whole neck to find the chord that you want or the sound that you want. And I love that idea of giving the base of the chord and then letting your fingers pick out the melody between chords. To me, that's a magical way, and it's very expressive. That said, put your metronome away if you're a metronome person, because I truly do mimic my playing style on Willie Nelson. I'll tell you more about that later. In the meantime, I'm going to give you one more very traditional song, and this is going to be the oldest song that I'm going to be playing today. And it was written by Stephen Foster in the 1800s. And the first time I heard it was because James Taylor included this song on his very first, well, second album that I bought. And I think if I play this well enough, you'll know what I'm playing it. case you're wondering. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. Oh, I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. So I hope you knew that that was Oh, Susanna. Well, I told you that I do pattern myself after Willie Nelson. And I have to admit that if I see Willie Nelson play live, the timing of his vocals blows my mind. Sometimes I'll be in the audience and I'll be like, come on, say it now. Sing it, do it this way. I love the fact that the song carries so much emotion with him when he plays. And I'm going to play a couple of the songs that he's written using the same style. And the first one was a big hit for Patsy Cline called Crazy. Simple song. Lyrically, it's so basic, and I feel like that's a song that I can do chord melody with because it's such an emotional song for me that, I don't know, I hope it translated. When Willie Nelson moved to Austin, Texas, and it would have been in the mid-1970s that he wanted to come out with this album, and he was going to pretty much record it live, and he was going to call it Redheaded Stranger. And the record companies all thought he was completely off his rocker. Well, this is my favorite song from that particular album that ended up selling so many records. I think that's when he really became the phenomenon. Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. So Willie Nelson was a groundbreaker in way more ways than one. And my love for jazz started when my sister bought my mother 2 of his pop standards albums. These are songs, y'all, that he grew up with because he's 87 now. And so these songs were in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. These are songs that he grew up with. And I'm going to play you the title track of an album called Moonlight Becomes You. And it was part of one of those Road to pictures. Road to Morocco, maybe, don't quote me. But it was Bing Crosby as the crooner and Dorothy L'Amour as the love interest. And the comedy figure in all those Road to pictures was Bob Hope. So this was the soundtrack for it. Oh, I think my mama's favorite song on on one of those albums, I think Stardust, is a Duke Ellington standard. And I could always tell which songs that she really loved because there would be a lilt in her voice while we were listening and she was talking. And she would always tap that foot. And this was it. It's called Don't Get Around Much Anymore. So I'm so enamored with this chord melody and with jazz chording in general. I've done a lot of work over the years with senior citizens, and several of them have had Alzheimer's. And I love to say that I play these jazz chords when someone might be agitated due to the time of the day, due to their frustration level. This is soothing. And this will change the feel in a room. And I love that. But this might not. You know, it's just a different voicing, it's just a different tone. Well, I must say that I write these arrangements myself. And I usually never play them exactly the same. I think I just kind of go with how I'm feeling in the moment. I'm going to really shock you because I'm going to give you my favorite Eric Clapton song using this method. It was a song from the 60s that he re-recorded on an unplugged album, and I took it and jazzed it. I think it's okay. I hope so. Layla. And I'm going to play one now to illustrate how I've taken jazz chord melody to another level in my songwriting. And I love this song. This song tells a story. I don't need to tell the story, except to say that my mother and I were best friends, and I would come and sit with her about 2 years before she died, when she had a terminal illness, and morphine did nothing for her pain. But I'm going to tell you that when I would come visit with her from 9 to noon, and I put on Willie Nelson, she never asked for more morphine as long as the music was playing. That was music therapy in its finest, and I've commemorated those times in song. I want to encourage people to use music as that natural, beautiful healer. It's called Mama and Willie and Me. We took a sentimental journey from 9 to noon, Mama and Willie and me. Memories and stories with every tune, Mama and Willie and me. By then she didn't get around much anymore, but for 3 precious hours every morn, the sounds of her youth filled the room. There'd be smiles and blue skies, not doom and gloom. I listened and learned as the stories flowed. She loved to dance. Don't you know there'd be bus rides downtown Friday nights, and dining and dancing in the moonlight. The music seemed to take her away. Sometimes she had lots to say. Sometimes she quietly reminisced of evening walks and their first kiss. We took a sentimental journey from 9 to noon, Mama, Willie, and me. Memories and stories with every tune, Mama and Willie and me. Once in a blue moon she spoke of the war. She knew they'd be together once more. She spoke of how hard times had been, how she'd had to rely on new friends. listened and learned as the stories flowed. She'd say, we love to dance, don't you know? There'd be bus rides downtown Friday nights, dining and dancing in the moonlight. The music seemed to take her away. Sometimes she had lots to say. Sometimes she quietly reminisced of evening walks and their first kiss. We took a sentimental journey from 9 to noon, Mama and Willie and me. Memories and stories with every tune, Mama and Willie and me. Now this is the point in the song where I'm really excited because I can take my own lead. We took a sentimental journey from 9 to noon, Mama and Willie and me. Memories and stories with every tune, Mama and Willie and me. Thank you, Willie Nelson. So I'm going to give you a song now. It's going to bring us closer to Louisiana, back to Louisiana. I love the music of New Orleans. I love the history of the music in New Orleans because all these musicians and cooks and artists came from all over the globe, and they landed in the port city in New Orleans and brought their home with them. And they say that jazz actually played its first note in New Orleans, and I can believe that. I believe this is, in my mind, this is how it happened. There were a lot of blues players back then. And you know, if you study and play blues and you study and play jazz, there are so many similarities. There are so many similarities. I imagine someone with a saxophone or a trumpet hearing a blues song and joining in. That's how I envision it. And however it happened, I feel so proud to live in a state where there was so much creativity early in the 1900s. Here's a song that was written about a street in New Orleans. Won't you come along with me to the Mississippi? We'll take a trip to the land of dreams, heading on down to New Orleans. Bands there to greet us, old folks there to meet us. Where the rich and the poor folk meet. Heading on down to Basin Street, oh Basin Street. That's the street where the elite, they always meet down in New Orleans. Land of dreams, you'll never know how nice it seems or just how much it really means. I'm glad to be. Yes, sir-ee, where the welcome's free. They're so good to me, that's where I can lose my Basin Street blues. Won't you come along with me to the Mississippi? We'll take a trip to the land of dreams, heading on down to New Orleans. Oh, that band's there to greet us, old folks there to meet us. It's where the rich and the poor folk meet, heading on down to Basin Street. Oh, Basin Street, that's the street where the elite, they always meet down in New Orleans. Land of dreams, you'll never know how much it seems or just how much it really means. I'm glad to be whether it's good to me. Well, I can lose my Basin Street blues. Heading on down to New Orleans. Thank y'all so much for listening. It's been an honor to be part of the Sugar Fest this year.